Sales warriors, this is Jason Forrest. I added one extra sale per month by mastering this one simple tactic. Today's lesson is all about giving yourself a pay raise by learning a skill that your competition is not good at. But here's the deal. One of my philosophies, what a great word that is, philosophy, I learned that from Jim Rohn, who'd always say, hey, what's your philosophy on parenting? What's your philosophy on marriage? What's your philosophy on sales, on leadership, on success, on making money? Love the question, what is your philosophy? Well, my philosophy, one of my philosophies at least, that I've always lived by is finding the disadvantages of my competition and turning those into advantages for me. This was actually taught also reinforced to me by, of course, the legendary coach Bill Belichick. His father was a scout, and so he was raised in this idea of being a scout. And so his whole philosophy, when you read about him, is to study the opponent during the week and make sure that he prepares his team, his football team, to exploit the disadvantages and therefore create advantages for him. And he believes the coach that's best at doing that is the one that will win on any given Sunday. So that's what I believe. So here's the deal. What I have learned throughout my selling career is there are two ways to win sales. I either have to do something better than my competition, like in my intentional questions, my persuasive messages, or in my very structured sales process. Or I just need to not do the dumb things that my competition is realizing they are doing. Look, those dumb things would be like not doing model tours, which is incredible, like how in the world are these homes going to sell themselves, or not putting people in their car for a community tour. Again, don't we want them in our car? Because we control the process. We control the process, then we control the sale and of course, therefore the outcome. Look, I can spend an entire lesson just on the dumb things that our competition does that I don't do, and I probably will create a lesson just on that. But this lesson on selling to the absentee buyer is a little bit of both of those ways to win sales. All right, I remember when I first started selling, the absentee buyer was at first definitely an area that I lost sales. The prospects would say things that I didn't know how to handle, such as, I need to talk to my partner before making a decision, or this looks great, but my spouse needs to see it first. Or look, my parents, they're gifting me the down payment, and I need to see the home first. Or, my adult child, Frank, asked to see the home before I make any final decisions. That last one I always thought was the strangest, because why is the adult child taking or giving advice on where the parent should live or can live? Kind of crazy, right? But anyway, I digress. So here's one thing you already know from experience that I had to learn too, and that's you won't have every decision maker in front of you during every sale. So I realized that when I learned to sell to the absentee buyer, the circumstance didn't control my outcome, but instead I did. Look, the definition of an absentee buyer is any buyer, like any buyer, that is not present in front of you. An absentee buyer can be a spouse, it can be a parent, an adult child, or even a boss. I remember when I was selling, sometimes the bosses, people relocate into an area and the boss was the one that toured them throughout the models. And the boss sometimes kind of stopped my sale or slowed it down. And so I gotta, fix that problem as well. So again, anyone who influences the buying decision who isn't physically with you. I like to think of an absentee buyer as a ghost buyer. They may not be there physically, but their presence, the ghost, right? There's a ghost in the way, is factoring into the sale. See, so many sales pros just ignore the absentee buyer. It's like, but here's the deal. I'm not afraid of no ghost. Are you afraid of a ghost? You shouldn't be afraid of a ghost. And so you can't ignore them. And that's why this is a great way to get a leg up on the competition. See, you're about to learn something that your competitors either don't know or they don't do, which is pretty awesome for you, because that means that you can easily steal and win sales from them starting like right now. All right, think about Christmas shopping. You wouldn't go to a store and buy something for a family member without considering what they want, right? Well, that'd be crazy. See, you treat them as if they were with you so that you can get them the best possible gift. It's the same concept with the absentee buyer. As a sales warrior, you're giving the buyer in front of you this gift. You're doing something for them, not something to them, by executing this lesson. You're literally letting them consider the decision maker who isn't there. You're doing something, again, for them. I cannot stress this enough. Something for them, not to them. Also, as a sales warrior, your role is to lead, protect, and serve the customer. So in some cases, you are also protecting the prospect, right? You're protecting the prospect in front of you from the negative influences of that absentee buyer. So today, I'm going to share with you 5 steps to sell to the absentee buyers, plus, yeah, wait for it, 6 bonus strategies. I always love the idea of, but wait, there's more, and right now, there's more. There's 6 bonus strategies I'm going to share with you today as well. So my promise to you is very simple, and that is, as soon as you start executing what you learned in this lesson, then the sooner you will sell another home. Or maybe another way, someone might say, hey Jason, how often do you want me to execute these absentee buyer things? I mean, the 5 steps and the 6 strategies, and my response was basically this. As often as you want to give yourself a pay raise, you should execute the 5 steps and the 6 strategies. So just want to make more money, just do the steps. All right, but again, you can be the judge of that. So here are the 5 steps that I use to sell to the absentee buyer. First, I'm going to ask the person in front of me to speak on the absentee's behalf. It's almost like they're like a channeler from, again, the kind of ghost buyer around them. So let's say a wife is in front of me. So I would say, hey, you've been married to your husband, Jack, for the last 5 years, and you know your husband, Jack, way better than I do. I've never met Jack. Well, while we're going through this experience, this home buying experience, I want you to speak on Jack's behalf. Look, first, I'm going to, of course, talk to you about the things that you want in the home, in the community, in the home site, the features, all of that. Of course, I'm going to talk to you about that first. What you like about these features, what you like about us, and of course, the questions that you have. But I also want to know what's important to Jack. And of course, the questions or concerns that Jack might have. My outcome is very simple, and is that I want to make sure that I can help you get everything that you want in your next home. And I want to do my very best, to also get what your husband wants as well. Sound like a good outcome for today? How would any customer not agree with that, right? You're doing something that they're not receiving anywhere else, which again gives you a huge advantage over your competition. So again, just be better than the competition and you'll get better results. That's kind of cool. All right, and here's the deal. Of course, they're going to say yes, right? They're going to want to experience this because again, you're giving them this gift. You're giving them permission. That's kind of cool. What people want permission to buy, and they want permission, like in this case, to speak on the absentee buyer's behalf. They don't know the rules of how it works, and they might feel like that's not something they're supposed to do. They're just supposed to focus on them. And so you're giving them permission. And to me, great leadership, great selling is you creating a container of safety. Being the great warrior, being a great leader, you're creating a container of safety to again allow the customer to speak on behalf of that absentee buyer. Right? Look, this is so important because you're taking the lead by removing a stressor off of the prospect's plate, right? The stressor of them having to figure it out and decide what they want, and at the same time, the absentee buyer, are they going to be fine with this? So you're just, you're just kind of keeping it organized and structured in a way that they don't have to worry about that stuff. They can just kind of focus on just enjoying the experience. You're also serving the absentee buyer's desires by doing this, right? Because again, they don't have someone to advocate for them right now. So you're going to be that customer advocate that's going to advocate for what they want, not just what the customer in front of you wants as well. All right. Second, I'm going to include the absentee buyer as if they were in front of me because they kind of are in spirit, right? Again, don't be afraid of ghosts. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do an abbreviated version of my 5-4-3, my 12-step sales process with this ghost buyer. I'm going to understand the buyer by asking some discovery 360 type questions like, hey, so tell me about your husband. Tell me about what he's looking for in a home. Tell me about what he's looking for in a community. Tell me about what he's looking for in a home site. You get it, right? Just those questions around the different decisions. Tell me about what he likes about what you currently have, your current home, your current community, your current home site, etc. And what does he not like? And then, hey, tell me about what his biggest problem or frustration is about, again, your current home, that if solved, he would be most motivated and encouraged and excited to change. Look, just make a note that every single question you ask of the buyer in front of you, then you need to also ask to the absentee buyer, right? So first ask the buyer in front of you and then ask the same question to the absentee buyer and let them channel it, let them speak on their behalf. So when you ask, are you also considering older homes, or have you decided to only look at new homes? Again, whatever the prospect says, you would then ask, hey, does Mark, husband's name, whoever it is, feel the same way? By doing this, you are, number one, making sure that you address both of their needs. Number two, you are uncovering a future objection if the husband is still considering older homes, but the wife has eliminated them. And number three, you will find out where the absentee buyer is already, and again, in the sense of, are they on your side more than the buyer in front of you? Like, for example, let's say you find out that the absentee buyer loves the type of community that you are selling, meaning it's either a master plan, like large neighborhood, or it's more of an intimate, boutique style neighborhood, more than, again, the buyer in front of you. Well, this is huge, right? Because you can use this later as position of strength or as leverage to mediate a compromise between all of the buyers. I'll explain more of this whole mediation strategy later in the video. All right, so after you understand the ghost buyer, again, don't be afraid of ghosts, then I'm going to present solutions to the ghost buyer. I'm going to say something like, all right, great. If your husband was here right now, what would he say about blank? Again, feel free to kind of ham it up, right? So if your husband was sitting with us right now on this couch in this living room, and he was looking over at the kitchen, what would he say about blank? If your husband right now was like opened up and saw this beautiful, master bath, what would he say? How does this compare to your current bath? How would he appreciate this? Look, I know that you said that he's really into blank. What would he say about that blank? You said he really wants to solve the problem of blank. So would blank solve that problem and improve his life because he can now do more blank than he couldn't do before? All right, I know I got a lot of blanks here, but I want to make this universal. So just fill in the blanks. There you go. Okay, again, you're going to treat them as if they're right there in front of you. So whatever kind of ownership or move them in emotionally questions or statements that you use with the buyer in front of you, you're just going to rinse and repeat and use these with the absentee buyer. All right, my third step is I'm going to close the buyer in front of me first. So again, the buyer in front of me, I'm going to close them first. This is a crucial step, so kind of underline it right now. Crucial step because I have to get position of strength and momentum going into closing the absentee buyer. Right? You need the prospect in front of you to be on your side to help you close the absentee buyer. So I would say, hey, look, before we talk about your husband, let's talk about you. Because I want to make sure that you're getting everything that you want in your next home. Look, you said that you're looking for blank that has blank, and after I showed you blank, you said that it was your favorite. So if it was solely your decision, and I know it's not, but if it solely was your decision and your husband was 100% on board and agreed with everything you wanted, then would this be the blank for you? Then they might say, well, yeah, I like it, but I'm not sure about my husband. Look, no problem. I definitely want to talk about your husband. But before we do, is this what you want? Because if you're not happy first, then there's no point of talking about what your husband thinks or wants or feels. Agree? Of course, they're going to say, yeah, I agree. Now let's talk about your husband. So let's talk about what his concerns are, or let's talk about what his worries are going to be. If he's in front of you right now, what do you think he would say? Or, how do you think he would feel about making this decision right now? All right, that's it. So now I'm on to step 4, which is to solve the absentee buyer's concerns through the prospect in front of me. So for example, the buyer says, look, he is going to think you're too expensive. Then I would say, hey, since you know your husband better than I do, like I don't know him at all, if I was to say blank to him about our value and everything you're getting for the price over the older homes and the other builders that you guys are considering, what would he say to that? would he find value in blank that we offer than, again, compared to the other builders that are out there? I would also say, hey, earlier you said he was looking for blank to solve blank problem. And the reason we charge blank is to solve that problem that he has. So I'm curious, how would he respond to that if he was, again, here right now, sitting next to us on the couch? See, what you're trying to do is test the answer of the buyer in front of you. Remember, they know what the absentee buyer likes and does not like. They're going to say, yeah, this is great. I think my husband or wife or mother or father or boss or adult child would be okay with that. Or, I think they're gonna want to hear blank from you. They're gonna fill in the blanks. They're gonna help you, again, make this thing happen. All right, and now I'm on to step 5, which is to resolve the sale and create a contingency if I need one. So I would say, so it sounds like this home, community, home site solves your problems of blank and improves your life by blank and blank. And it sounds like if your husband was here, his problems of blank and desires of blank would also be solved. So based on that, the next step is let's go back to the office so I can build it on paper for you and I can present some different options for you. Then you can, of course, select the best overall package for you to make your next home at this time in your life. Look, if they say, well, hold on a second, Jason, there's no way I can purchase without my husband here, then you just say, no problem. Look, I can totally understand that. The first thing we're going to do is select the best overall package for you and your husband. Then we're going to write up everything, again, contingent upon your husband's approval. And so within 24 hours, all you need to do is bring your husband back. And of course, if he doesn't agree with the decision, then no worries. The purchase is completely canceled and no harm, no foul. But here's the good news. You'll have everything reserved and ready to go. So you don't have to worry that your favorite home and home site combination is going to be someone else's favorite too. It's like having your cake and eat it too, right? I just don't want you to miss out on your next best home. Is it possible that the prospect just refuses to do that? Of course. And if they do, then I'm going to say, look, again, no problem. Let's still go back to the office so you can select the best package for you and your husband. Then you'll have what you need for you and your husband to make an informed decision. All right, lastly, close the buyer on a date and time that they're going to bring the absentee buyer out to see you, or if that's too difficult, then set up a virtual meeting. Like sometimes they're, again, in a different state if they're like, a parent or something like that, right? Again, more about how to do that next with my bonus strategies. My goal is always to take the sale as far as I can go, so I know when the prospect leaves, I knew in my heart, right? I knew in my heart that I did all I could do or say to win the sale. You always want to kind of die fully, always want to die complete, knowing that, you know what, I did the best I could, right? And that's what you want to always make sure you have. Don't ever hold anything back. All right, now here are the 6 bonus strategies that I also do to sell to absentee buyers. Number 1, I leverage third-party video testimonials. I created a bank of video testimonials, creating countermeasures for every objection my prospect has, or prospects have given me in the past. For example, if the prospect objects to the size of my home sites, then I would find homeowners that I could interview with my iPhone where I would lead them to say, hey, at first I felt I had to compromise on the size of the home sites, but after I saw all the green space or the amenities that Hidden Bluffs provided, I realized I didn't need a larger home site. All right, warriors, then you would either send the video directly to the absentee buyer if you're able to do that, or you would send it to your prospect, of course, in front of you, and to arm them to present to the absentee buyer. Number 2 is I like to utilize Zoom or FaceTime. This is something that people are not doing enough of right now. I love selling on Zoom because I get to make it easy for my absentee buyer to buy from me. Look, I'm not asking them to find more time, to get PTO, to come and see me, again, which could create some unnecessary obstacles that will slow down the sale, or worse, make it too easy for them to just buy from the competition if they're further along from them. I don't want to do that. I want to make it difficult on my competition to convince them to buy a house. This is huge. When you have a spouse that's resistant to come and see you in person, or if it's a parent or adult child that lives too far away to come to the community anytime soon. See, both the parent for a first-time buyer and the adult child for a 55 plus could be the destroyers of hopes and dreams for your prospect in front of you. Look, that conversation behind your back is always your biggest competitor. So I always push to set up a Zoom meeting with those absentee buyers because I know I will always be a better communicator to why this decision is best for my buyers than my buyers will be to their parents and, of course, adult children. Number 3, have the buyer coach you on how to sell to the absentee buyer. This technique I love doing, so do my prospects, right? People love giving advice because it makes them feel significant. So if I'm about to meet the absentee buyer virtually or in person, then I would say, hey, can you give me some advice on what I have said to you so far that he or she would want to hear? Or what did I say or talk about that he or she wouldn't care about, so I just don't say it and waste their time? Look, I find that the buyer wants me to win because they want to win, so they will give me or you the cheat codes to sell to the absentee buyer. Number 4, bounce ideas off the prospect that have worked with previous buyers. See, people are influenced by social proof. Psychologically, it allows them to disassociate from the intensity of the decision, which allows them to decide more rationally and not be so stressed out about it. So I would say other buyers that had the same concern with their adult child benefited from when I did blank. Would that help them? Number 5, how to deal with negative absentee buyers. Look, this is a tougher one, but here is what has worked for me. I would say, Mr. Customer, I know that you're wanting to also please your son, but you've taken care of them for 40 years. And during that time, you always have put them first and your wife second. Are you against putting you first now? Number 6, become the mediator. This strategy is crucial when both parties can't get all they both want. So my goal here, or my outcome frame, is to get both of them to compromise on something they want so they both can win. I would say, John, if you can get the media room that you want to watch football, but have to compromise with one of our included home sites, then we can use that home site premium towards the upgraded kitchen that Julie wants. And Julie, if you can compromise on the extra bathroom, then we can use that money towards blank. So Julie and John, how do you feel about both compromising a little bit so you can both get the most important thing that you really want? All right, sales warriors, I promised you when I started this lesson, I know it's a long one, that once you execute the 5 steps and the 6 strategies taught in this video, you would earn at least 1 extra sale per month. Now is your turn to prove me right or wrong. But here's the good news. Nothing that I'm teaching you here will cause you to sell 1 less home per month. That's pretty cool, right? So you have nothing to lose and everything to gain by just being all in. So here's your assignment. Number 1, commit to using the 5 steps and the 6 strategies to sell to every absentee buyer you engage with this week for the rest of your life. I know that's a big commitment, but just do it. Number 2, check your lesson guide for additional assignments. Number 3, write out any leashes you have around selling to the absentee buyer 100% of the time. Number 4, come to your FPG dojo session, prepared to share your successes and discuss any leashes that are holding you back from executing 100% of the time. All right, one more thing. Increasing your conversion rate and winning more sales than your competition is not about one magic cannonball. People are always asking, hey, what's like the one thing, Jason, that we can do in order to win more sales? That's not how it really works, right? It's not about one magic cannonball, but instead it's about executing hundreds of individual bullets. See, this is one of those bullet lessons that will make you another 5% better than the competition. But you only need 20 of those bullets to be 100% better. See what I did there? 5 times 20 is 100, pretty cool, right? So again, every little bullet lesson adds up. This is Jason Forrest. Push yourself to become a better version of you.